everyone, and welcome to Golden Nova's First Reacts, where I react first to all the things you want to see reacted to first, as long as I'm the first person you go to when it comes to reacting to things. We have another set of updates from Crossover Breakers, the latest deck build pack coming out of the OCG, and it looks like we're focusing on some kind of Pendulum Ritual Dragon deck. I'm going to be honest, when we first saw this, I thought this was going to be an illusion. It has the illusion eyes on the gauntlets and everything, and, you know, it's sparkly and all that. I figured that's what we were in for, but it does not appear that that is the case. We are covering the Ryuga. Sosei Ryuga Mitsuba is our first monster. Level 10, scale 0, Light Dragon Ritual Pendulum monster. You can only use the Pendulum effect of this card's name once per turn. During your main phase, you can add a Ryuga card from your deck to your hand, except a Pendulum monster, then destroy this card. The most beautiful words you want to see on a Pendulum card. Destroy this card, because now it transitions to being something you can Pendulum summon. Though we'll see if this works like, I forget exactly what it's called, but it's that Odd Eyes Ritual Pendulum monster. It's like Astrograph, no? It's a Pendulum Graph card. That's what it is. It's Odd Eyes Pendulum Graph Dragon or something. That you can Pendulum summon, but we should be able to see in just a second. As a monster, you can Ritual Summon this card with Sosei Ryuga Mitsuba. That is what this card is. Is it its own Ritual Summoning effect? It must be Special Summoned by its own effect. Oh, so we can't Pendulum Summon this at all. Okay. You can Special Summon... Hey, Moby. How's it going? Yeah. Sorry, you're going to have to bear with me for a second, folks. Must be special summoned by its own effect. You can only special summon Sosei Ryuga Mitsuba's once per turn. If a monster or monsters on the field are destroyed by battle or effect while this card is in the extra deck, you can tribute a level 10 Ryuga monster, and if you do, special summon this card. It is treated as a ritual summon. Then you can destroy up to 2 cards you control, and if you do, place an equal number of Ryuga continuous spells from your deck face up on your field. Not that you can read half of that, Moby's big old tail is going through here, but that's the bonus of having this on 2 separate screens. He may be a big cat, but he can't cover all of them with his big furry butt. So we need this in the extra deck first, and then we tribute another level 10 monster to get this into rotation. That's interesting. So this itself is a level 10. So if a card gets popped, you could tribute 1 Mitsuba for another one, though hopefully there are other level 10 ones, so we don't just have to loop this one over and over again. And then we get to pop 2 cards to put our continuous spells, which we'll get into soon, I'm sure. And if we have any other synergies with our cards being destroyed, this feeds into that. And of course, it can destroy any card, which means it can pop pendulums that have good effects when destroyed. That's all part of the process. I'm very interested, because this kind of sets itself up. Like, you play it in the Pendulum Zone. It's a scale 0, so it's already a fantastic scale. You pop it to search any on-theme card, and then it's ready to summon itself, but only in response to a monster on the field being destroyed by battle or a card effect. So we can't do this necessarily whenever we want to, but we'll probably have the tools to handle that. Also, it's got 3,500 attack and 2,500 defense. Pretty strong. Okay, next up we have... Folks, I'm going to ask for forgiveness in advance. Keiro Ryuga Enba, level 10 Water Sea Serpent monster. You can only use the first, second, and third effect of this card once per turn. You can discard this card to add a Toryuga Kairomon from your deck to your hand. We'll see what that is, I'm sure. During your main phase, if 2 or more monsters other than copies of this card were sent from your hand and or deck to the graveyard this turn, you can special summon this card from your graveyard. You can place a face-up Toryuga Kairomon that you control on the bottom of your deck. Banish your opponent's entire hand, and if you do, they draw the same number of cards. Uh-oh, that sounds pretty Droll and Lockbirdable, though that is an ignition effect, not a quick effect, so, or I guess ignition effects can be quick effects. It's not a quick effect, so our opponent would have to search during their own turn. Though, of course, we could, like, force that with certain things, but it seems dangerous whenever we have those effects that make our opponent mulligan. So rereading this really quickly. If 2 or more monsters other than copies of this card were sent from the hand or deck, not the field, but the hand or deck to the grave, you can special summon it from the graveyard. So it's recursion if enough monsters have been sent to the graveyard. Oh, and then this just gets discarded anyway to get the card that functions with its third effect. I hope that it does. I hope that it's good, and that it's one of our continuous spells, so we can just get it into rotation. Okay, interesting start. Okay, GoldenNovaYugioh Hakuba, level 10 Windworm monster. You can only use the first, second, and third effect of this card once per turn. You can banish this card from your hand to add a Ryuga Genromon. Okay. If a monster becomes banished face up while this card is banished, and there are currently 2 or more banished monsters, you can special summon this card. So this one's not a quick effect, this one is a trigger effect, and it plays well with decks that get their monsters banished. And you can place one Toryuga Genromon you control on the bottom of the deck to add a Ryuga card from your deck, graveyard, or banishment to your hand. So that's just a little search. Okay. Kairio Ryuga Kaiba! Kaiba's here! They made Kaiba! It's Kaiba Man! Level 10 Earth Dinosaur. First, second, and third effect. This is covering all of those same monster types that the Transcendosauruses do. All of like the dragon-related card types. You can shuffle this card from your hand into the deck to add a Toryuga Kairamon from your deck to your hand. So, once again, another... Oh, this one shuffles from your hand to the deck. Wait. Oh, this one discards. This one banishes, which is where you want to summon this from. And then Kaiba. Wait, how does that factor into a summon effect? During the main phase, if 2 or more cards were destroyed this turn, you can special summon this card from your hand. Okay, so it does not synergize with the way that you used to get its continuous spell card. That's interesting. So shuffle it in, add the hopefully continuous spell. During the main phase, if the 2 or more cards were destroyed this turn, you can special summon this card from your hand. Which, of course, dinosaurs will be doing anyway, because that's their whole deal. During the main phase, if 2 or more cards were destroyed this... Oh, I already did that. You can place a face-up Toryuga Kairomon you control on the bottom of the deck, then target other cards on the field up to the number of types among monsters on the field and destroy them. Oh, that can get really devastating. Okay, so this is probably one of the better ones effect-wise, but it doesn't play well with its other effects. Okay, alright. I dig. One moment. Let's, There you go. Fix that a little bit. Okay, so what's next here? We have our spells now. So Ryuga Kaibyaku. Quick play spell card. You can only use one of the first and second effects of this card name per turn and only once per turn, so these are mutually exclusive. You can add a Ryuga monster from your deck to your hand. Then you can add a Ryuga Pendulum monster from your hand to your extra deck face up. That you can add a Ryuga Pendulum monster from your hand to your... Why would you want to do that? Wouldn't you want to play it first and then search, like activate the search? Because you only have one Ryuga Pendulum monster. It's the ritual that gets an effect when you put it in the scales. Huh. During your main phase, if you control a Ryuga Pendulum monster card, you can banish this card and one Ryuga monster from your graveyard and special summon a Ryuga monster from your deck with the same original type as the monster banished. Okay. Okay, so now that I think about it, the first effect makes sense if we are chaining to an effect that destroys cards. Like if it's during our opponent's turn, they go to pop something, you go Kaibyaku, put our ritual in the extra deck, and then that triggers it to do the ritual summon. And during your main phase, if you control a Ryuga Pendulum monster card. And this lets you basically turn any of your Ryugas into the graveyard into one onto the field. You just get to summon it out, get it into rotation. It's kind of like letting you use their summon effects, but summoning them out of the deck as long as you have the boss monster. Okay, I can kind of dig. Toryuga Tensaimon. Ooh. Oh, what are we looking at here? Just big emblems being smashed into the earth. It's a field spell card. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. When this card resolves, take 3 monsters from your deck, Dinosaur, Sea Serpent, and Worm, add 1 to your hand, banish the other, and send the last to the graveyard. Also, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of the turn except Dragon, Dinosaurs, Sea Serpents, and Worms. So that is Transcendosaurus to its core. And that makes sense, right? Like, you would put the Dinosaur in your hand because that's where its summon effect goes to. The Sea Serpent one you send to the graveyard, and you banish the Worm? Was the green one a worm? I forget. It was a worm. Okay, so yeah, you banish this one. Okay, so that just sets up all of your... every Ryuga. If you have a face-up Sosei Ryuga Mitsuba, which is our ritual, in the extra deck, you can special summon up to 3 Ryuga monsters with different types, 1 each from your deck, graveyard, and or banishment. And that just has to be in the face-up extra deck? Wait a sec, okay. Wait, so what the... So, you go activate Mitsuba in the Pendulum Zone, add a Ryuga card from your deck to your hand. Is the field spell a Ryuga? It is a Ryuga. It's a field spell that you can search. So you put that in the face of extra deck, it's destroyed, put this on the field, activate it, set up your 3 Ryugas, and then activate the second effect. Because they're not mutually exclusive, and then you get all 3 of them? Okay. Alright. And you can do that once per turn? You can do the second effect once per turn. You can't do the search once per turn. That's just when activated. Well, I guess that's once per turn. It's a hard once per turn, but you can't just activate it every turn. That's nutty. That's nutty. Then you get access to all 3 of these. Now, granted, they are just vanillas unless you have their appropriate continuous spell in rotation. But it is still 3 level 10 monsters with 3,000 attack. That, well, okay, we have seen a restriction. The field spell does keep us in these 3 types, so... But, I forget what the rank 10 Xyz monster is right now. That's like the Omni Negate that pops a card. Is that I have to assume that's a dragon. So that's still available under this. You can't Gustav anyone, but that's still pretty good. Okay, this is literally just... Wait, these are canon in the... Not Jurac, but like the Jurassic world? Okay. Okay, so this is Toryuga Kairamos. This is the Earth-associated one. You can only control 1 copy of this. Ryuga monsters you control gain 300 attack. Ryuga Pendulum monsters and level 10 or higher monsters with original type, whose original type is Dinosaur, you control gain the following effect. Once per turn, when the effect of a monster on the field with less attack than this card is activated, you can place a face-up Ryuga continuous spell you control on the bottom of the deck to negate the activation. Oh, they are applying additional effects. Oh, that is so goofy. So our boss monster gets it, as well as our Dinosaur Ryuga, and then any other level 10 or higher dinosaur that we have, which I believe also includes Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, so you can play it in that. That's very funny. That's so funny. Okay, these should be the last 2. So Toryuga Genryo. Any monster sent from the field to the graveyard during your opponent's turn is banished instead. Okay, so that's not quite as oppressive as something like D-Shifter. It only affects the field and only during their own turn, but that's still pretty gnarly. Ryuga Pendulum monsters and level 10 or higher monsters whose original type is Worm gain the following effect. Once per opponent's turn as a quick effect, you can place a face-up Ryuga continuous spell you control on the bottom of the deck. Then target 1 face-up monster on the field and change its attack to 0. That synergizes with the last one so that we can make sure that they are underneath the attack power of our giant bastard monsters. And then our last one is Toryuga Kairamon. This is our water one. Wait, this isn't specifically anywhere, I don't think, but there's like some familiar monsters in here. I can't name any of them off the top of my head. but I've seen these monsters before. Oh, that's Ocean Dragon Lord Gishilnadon, at least. Is this supposed to be someplace I'm supposed to be familiar with? This is Almirage, not the Salamangreat variety, but there is a monster called Almirage. But this doesn't seem anywhere familiar to me right now. But these are some water monsters. Oh my god, they're just crossovering all of these. Okay. You can only control one copy of this. Your Ryuga monsters cannot be destroyed by battle. They're huge, though. That's so funny. Okay, so apply the following effect to Ryuga Pendulum monsters and level 10 or higher monsters whose original type is Sea Serpent. Once per opponent's turn, you can place a phase-up Ryuga continuous spell you control on the bottom of the deck, and target a card on the field and return it to the hand. So we get to put back the spell, bounce a card as a quick effect. Also, there's some info about the naming convention here. It says off screen. Their names are done in Old Esoteric Chinese, which makes translating them difficult and hard to guess on what they'll end up as. Their names are our final guess. It'll be updated in the article. Okay, well, cool. Or not our final guess. Okay, so get ready for all of these names to change at a moment's notice, but I couldn't wait for the article. I had to know. I had to learn. Okay, so what do we make of this? This seems far too convoluted to be, like, tournament viable, right? Granted, this is a one-card combo with the field spell that gets all of them into rotation, which does give you a way to just outright smash your opponent out of nowhere. God, this is nasty. So, going through the playline once again, you go Ryuga Mitsuba, activate it. There's not a way to search this, right? Pre-prep and preparation of rights don't trigger here because there's no spell card that this works with for pre-prep to work. And then prep only searches level 7 or lower, so we can't search that. Is there a way to put... Oh, it is a Dragon Pendulum monster, though. Adai's Revolution Dragon? Does that search it? I think it's 8 or lower. I'm going to look that up while we talk about stuff, but the point is that we go... Once we have this in our hand, activate it in the scale. It blows up. We get the field spell. The field spell is activated. We put the Dino in our hand, the Sea Serpent in the graveyard, the Worm in the banishment. Then, because the summons from deck Graven Banishment, we take the Dinosaur one and we actually use its effect, shuffle it into the deck to get Tyryuga. So we have the Earth one active, guaranteed off of this. Then we activate the third effect of the field spell. We summon one copy each of all of these. And now its bonus effect here is going to be live because we have Toryuga Kairomon. It can pop up to 3 other cards because we have our Dinosaur, Worm, and Sea Serpent in rotation. And then we can tribute one of our monsters once the Pendulum triggers on this. And now we have it in rotation. And then it pops the other 2 Ryugas that we summoned. Get 2 more continuous spells. So we have all 3 of our continuous spells in rotation. Not the Earth one, because the Earth one we have to tuck into to activate that. But then, because 2 or more cards on the field were destroyed, you can special summon Kaiba back. And then this is only from hand or deck to the graveyard. I don't know if we've triggered Enbas enough here. But now we have a negate on board. Because we can choose to get back the Toryuga Kairomon at this point. So we have that, and then we get our choice of either the Toryuga, the Genromon, or the Kairiomon. Wow. But like it's flashy, and having access to dragons, even under the lock, as well as a few other monster types, it seems good, but I'm not wholly convinced. I'm sure someone is already posting some kind of wacky, ridiculous combo, but I don't know. I just feel like... The good news is that basically all of these cards do something in the hand, no matter what. So even though they're pendulums and or gigantic leveled monsters, they're not necessarily like just bricks. And then there's the draw spell that has you send a level or 10 levels worth of monsters to the graveyard to draw 2. This deck can use that, I feel, fairly well. At least with the water one. You kind of want to put the other ones in different places than the graveyard. But you can work with that with how the field spell works. But I'm honestly pretty lost otherwise. They're not doing any rank 10 shenanigans with, like, Gustav, unless they survive a turn, which isn't unlikely. Especially with, like, I could see Enba just randomly being in decks, because if you send cards from hand or deck to the graveyard, having a 3,000 attack monster to randomly put on the board seems pretty good. And then if you run the continuous spell with it, then you have a way to vent it into the graveyard even if you draw it, and then it gives you a bounce that you can use for free with it. I could see this being splashed in a number of decks. The other ones I'm not quite as convinced about. This one, I don't even know if this sees play in something like Metaphys. It's also a worm deck and it cares about banishing, but this itself doesn't super synergize with that. I also wonder if Kaiba sees play in actual dinosaur decks. Like, it does care about cards being destroyed, which dinosaurs are doing all the time, especially for its own cards, but I don't know, it just feels unnecessary for that deck. I don't know why you would include this in. Maybe so you could get the negate for dinos, like apply that effect to Ultimate Conductor Tyranno. That's about all I can think of. The line of play sets up a pretty interesting board, but I don't know. And this barely qualifies as a ritual deck. Like, let's be real. There's no ritual spell. The monster kind of handles it on its own. It is a fully functional ritual monster by means of taking out all the stuff that makes rituals unique, which I have mixed feelings about. But I don't know. I think there's just more fun lore implications than anything else here. Ryuga Kaibaku has like the ritual holding the world. It has the 3 continents in different colors, which we see exacerbated in Toryuga Tensaimon, and then the continuous spells show the different zones that those monsters are in. We have like the Jurak world here. We have some kind of water zone here. This isn't any of the Umi field spells at all. It's... unless I'm missing something, this is not any of them, which feels weird, but if maybe they're trying to make sure that we don't associate these cards with the Umi universe. And then Gen Ryomon, I have no friggin' clue what this place is supposed to be off the top of my head. Once again, commenters, let me know down below. But I think that's about all that I have here. I don't have high hopes for it. It looks cool and interesting, very flashy. But do I think it all comes together in like a good cohesive package? I don't know. I have my doubts. Maybe I'm just a big level hater, but I guess that's where all of you come in. Let me know how wrong I am. Let me know if you feel the exact same way. What are some goofy combos people are coming up with? And what are your thoughts on it? Are you excited for them? I know that I certainly like the Xyz monsters more than what we see right here, which is weird because I keep saying people saying that the Racels are the boring ones. These ones just kind of seem like they're flashy, but I don't know if I get behind it. I think I'd much rather play the funky rank 4 deck. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will catch you next time Crossover Breakers decides to break some news. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Today's episode is brought to you by my lovely patrons, as well as the wonderful people over at Dragon Shield. Get the sleeves as strong as dragon scales and save 5% on your order by using the coupon code GoldenNova at checkout. And speaking of those lovely patrons, I'd like to give them a thanks right now. This month's Quasar Commander is Upstairs Media, Nebula Navigators are Third Dynasty, 50 Gigabits, Ada Basilisk, Adam Zajdel, Owexatowe Hime, Anansi Dragon, Ancient Wizard, Andrew Newman, Kane Senpai, Chibi Gohan, Christopher Fuss, Clockswork, Comrade Copperbottom, Emily Chan, Eric, Frankie, Garland Chaos, Green Knight, Gloomba 331, Great Big Pillock, Groog, Hairbear, Harry the Ominous Benefactor, Howling Zangetsu, Iron Zero, Iskander 711, Carp, Leo 458, Mana Charge, Marion James E. Picata, Mega Combi, Millennia Asta, Mern, Nathan Vig, Natiel Lee Alexander, Orozco 09096, Panther J, Rebel King Lucifer, Red Eyes Jackalow, RJ the Jank Monarch, Sammy Haim, Serenity Towns, Skybuster Leo, The Critic of Innocence, Thievery Coast and the Wizard Moose, Cosmic Crusaders Ariel Kersey, Baron von Titty Sprinkles, Beelzephyr, Beluga Master, Blitzwolf, Borger with a Shotgun, Chaz Ghost, Childish Lamar, Dr. Reaper R.I.P., Drachenwald, Eki Bullock, Eva Padilla, Hike Boyagian, Herbal D, Ignis Heath the True Draco Slayer, Inblink, Kale the Dragon, Kevon Public, Lobomaru 02, Manga Pages, Marluxia's a Girl, Matt Simmons, McSpoofy, Michael Shimabukuro, Night Trummo, Nyx, Obsidian, Shizuka Nijimura, Sophie, apparently, Stephen Williamson, Taylor Seymour, The Legendary Raven, The Phantom Knights of Shitted Pants, The Pokemon 52, Tiger X2476, Visor KG, Zeldreka and Zalus, as well as the wonderful Starlight Explorers you see on screen now. If you liked what you saw and want to help me in my journey to cover all of Yu-Gi-Oh's archetypes, get my videos early, be a part of these credits, and other awesome perks, it would mean the world to me if you would check out the links to my Patreon in the description or consider joining as a YouTube member.